What's up, everybody? It's Claire, and welcome back to another episode of Zero to Hero. I believe we are on episode 6 at this point of Zero to Hero, and look at that, we got Truth Slayer again. I don't know if it was Zero to Hero or something. No, on stream yesterday, which, by the way, go follow my Twitch. I've been streaming a ton. I'm streaming like every single day. We're grinding, trying to grow this shit. You know how it goes. Yeah, I was streaming, and I got Truth. Like, it was either Truth Slayer or Truth Flag, literally 5 or 6 games in a row. It was tragic. Anyway, welcome back to Zero to Hero. Today, we have a little bit more of a serious topic to talk about, as you guys can tell by the title. And I don't really want to talk about it for the whole video. Obviously, we're going to try to play 1 or 2 different games. But I got a comment last episode to talk about if I had ever suffered from any sort of mental illness or disorder, something, which is, I don't really know why I went car here. Yeah, it's a good question, and like I said, it's going to be a little bit more serious, so I don't want to talk about it for the entire video, just because I want to be able to talk about some game stuff and whatever else. But you know, I just figured I'd touch on it for at least a couple minutes, because it's something that I would definitely. Oh my god, I don't even know where that guy was. Oh, he was camo. But yeah, it's something that I figured would be good to cover, because I feel like I have an encouraging message when it comes to the back half of it. But the question was, if I had ever suffered, and if I can find who left the comment, I'll try to throw it up on the screen. Oh my god, later. But the question was, if I had ever suffered from any sort of mental illness or disorder, and how I pulled out of it. So the way that I took that to mean, which I don't claim to be an expert in anything that I'm about to talk about, what I took that to mean is, like, you know, things like depression and, you know, anxiety and whatever else. So apologies if that's not correct, or if they don't all fall under that banner of mental disorders or whatever. So I just want to apologize real quick if I'm not understanding that correctly. But that's sort of what I'm going to try to cover today, and sort of tell you guys about my experience. And so I covered this sort of same story, but maybe not as in depth, a while back in a video. It was actually, oh man, it was sometime around the New Year, so it wasn't that long ago. Maybe a little bit less than a month ago. Oh, that was bad. Yeah. Basically, last year, I'm currently in my senior year of high school, and I'm currently in my last semester of my senior year of high school. So right now, things are going great for me, you know. I graduate here in a few months. My semester, in terms of workload, is pretty light, and so I'm kind of just hanging out, doing stuff with my friends, chilling, you know, not having to work or stress super hard when it comes to school. And I have some cool plans for after. Obviously, I have plans to move to Georgia and live with some of my friends and teammates, which I'm really looking forward to. And I don't have any college plans with them, which is either here or there. It just depends on the kind of person you are. But yeah, basically everything's going good for me right now. But last year, in my junior year of high school, I was in a really, maybe not necessarily rough, but maybe a weird spot. And it looks like the camo guy just got world starred there. But and I talked about it before. It was my junior year of high school, and you guys might remember this story. I even talked about it on stream the other night, I think. But basically, I've always, just to sort of preface this, I've always hated school, and I just, maybe not school in of itself, because I enjoy, you know, I'm very, at least in the last few years, probably since like 8th grade or so, I've been very extroverted. You know, I'm good at talking to people. I'm good at making friends, and I've never had any problem with, you know, teachers. Like, I feel like, and I don't want to say this in like a cocky way or whatever, but I think one of my gifts is, you know, being able to talk and hold a conversation with really anybody. And I was always generally liked by adults. And what is this lag right now? What is happening? Holy bad server. Yeah, that's something that I take pride in, is the fact that I can be, you know, charming, and I can talk to people, right? And so I've never hated school for that reason. I've hated school work, and I've always been a very, very unmotivated person when it comes to doing something that I don't want to do. And that's one of my character faults, and I can admit that, because whenever I don't want to do something, I will almost go out of my way and create work for myself just to not do that. I don't know if that makes sense. I might have worded that weird. But yeah, so I wouldn't want to do homework, and so I would literally create obstacles for myself so that I didn't have to do homework. And I don't know, it got to a really bad point, and I've since turned it around in the last couple years or months or whatever else. But yeah, basically just always hated school, right? And I got to my junior year, and your junior year of high school is generally, from what I hear and from my experience, I don't claim to know how it is in Canada or Europe or even other places in the United States, but based off of everything that I know, your junior year is your hardest in terms of workload and stress and you know, difficulty of classes, and you got to figure out stuff for college or university or whatever. And so there's generally a ton of stuff that goes on in your junior year of high school. And once I got to my junior year, I sort of hit a wall where I was forced to do work, and I didn't want to do the work, and I didn't like any of my classes, and I also hated the idea of going to college and spending 4 years going to school again when I knew I already hated school and I wasn't getting very good grades. Excuse me. So I hated the idea of spending another 4 years doing something that I hated, and that was really depressing to me, and it made me super anxious. And so I was always like, I literally could not bring myself to do homework or to look for colleges. Like, I had this class, this college prep class, that was literally all about, you know, putting together your application for college and you know, looking at different places and tuition and how much stuff would cost, and you know, just like preparing for college and graduating in your senior year and all that. And I literally just couldn't bring myself to do it, and didn't want to, and just hated the idea, and that caused me to I've never had fantastic grades, but I've always passed, or I've never like failed anything aside from maybe, like, I don't know, maybe messing up on a semester or something, or a quarter. But that caused my grades to really start getting worse, right? I know I phrased that terribly, but my grades started to suffer, and you know, I was like failing classes and just like hating every second of every class that I was in, and I was in a really poor state of mind. And that sort of conflict of me hating school and having bad grades and not wanting to look for colleges and stuff caused a lot of tension between me and my parents. And I was in a weird place where the only thing that brought me any form of enjoyment was gaming, was making videos, streaming, you know, playing with my friends and teammates, and so it was, that one thing was like the only thing that I enjoyed out of the entire day, which was like a really unhealthy thing, because it got to a point where I would wake up, like I was staying up, you know, 2, 3, 4 in the morning on school nights, get up and go to school, would sleep through classes, and would just hate being at school all day, and would literally, while I was at school, be like thinking about, you know, Halo, or, you know, making videos or something. And it was really unhealthy, and like I said, it started to cause conflict between me and my parents. And so I stopped. I particularly, and I want to be careful about how I tell this, but me and my mom in particular had trouble getting along for a little while. There was a stretch where me and my mom fought all the time, and we were stressing each other out, and we were just causing each other a lot of undue anxiety, or not undue, but unnecessary anxiety. And you know, your family is supposed to be like your support group, or, you know, people that you can go to whenever you have problems, and instead me and my family were causing more stress for each other, particularly me and my mom, which was, like I said, it was just really unhealthy. It really just wasn't a good situation. And so, oh my lord, glad we salvaged that shit. But yeah, basically I was in, that's probably the darkest point that I've had, as, you know, like in my life, was, you know, not getting along with my parents, and hating school, and, you know, doing poorly, and, you know, just having this really unhealthy, like, mental lifestyle, I guess. And you know, I ended up failing like 3 classes and having to do summer school to make it up, and you know, still like wasn't getting along with my parents, and you know, I would have to get, because of that, I was having like other family members were like trying to talk to me, like you gotta go to school and you gotta finish stuff, and I got to the point where I was super anxious, and I don't want to say depressed. I might have been a little bit depressed, but I wasn't like, you know, suicidal or sad or lonely or anything. I was in a constant state of stress almost, and I got to the point where I wanted to drop out of school, and my parents told me straight up, were like, that's not an option. And so I was just, it went from, you know, I was mad all the time, hated everything I was doing, and gaming was like the only thing that brought any sort of enjoyment. I've said a couple of other times now, which was just unhealthy. And so basically I did counseling for probably a month, which like I said, I can't tell you that that works for every scenario. Like if you are depressed in terms of like sadness or loneliness, and I don't know, like I said, I'm trying to be careful because I don't know exactly what the differences mean, and if counseling can like apply to all of those kinds of depression, but it helped me just being able to like talk about stuff. I know it sounds like cliche or whatever, but that just, I don't know, it helped me. And so did counseling for a little while, and I, you know, took care of summer school or whatever, and basically I sort of pulled out of it. You know, I figured out, you know, I was able to talk to my parents about like, this is what I want to do, and you know, this is how I want my life to go, and you know, just sort of things along that lines. And I just basically one of the things that I picked up from counseling was, you know, just talking to people straight up. It's like, I don't you know, about me and how I was feeling and about what I wanted, and so instead of like being approached with like, oh, we gotta go look at colleges, instead I was kind of like, what about this? And I was able to sort of lay out my plan of like, I want to do this, I'm gonna move here, I'm gonna live with these people, this is how much I'm gonna pay for this, and how much I'm gonna make, and this is what I'm gonna try to do. And so basically I started to pull out of it, and me and my parents got on better terms, and I don't know, it sort of, everything just sort of fixed itself over time. And like I said, it helped that I was able to do counseling. I think that was probably the best thing for me, was being able to talk to sort of like an outside party about the things that I was experiencing and the things that I was feeling, and that's by no means a serious issue. I don't think, I mean, I don't know how to phrase that. Everybody has their struggles and their things that are difficult for them, and that just happened to be mine. So basically, if I look at where I was then compared to where I am now, I'm so much better off mentally than I was. Oh my lord. So much better off mentally than I was then. You know, back then I was in a constant state of anxiety. And like I said, it could have been a little bit of depression. Not really sure. But I guess the message there would be that things do get better. And like I said, I don't claim to be an expert on depression or mental illness or anything. And I still certainly struggle with, you know, anxiety and, you know, maybe slight depression in certain times. And so there are some things that you can't fix, and like, we're all human and prone to emotions, and you know, I don't know, it's a lot of things are just really confusing. But I don't know, that was just sort of my experience with anxiety and depression. And like I said, I still have, you know, rough times from time to time, if that makes any sense. Holy teammate, where did that even come from? But basically I was able to pull out of it, and I'm in probably the best state in terms of mental health that I've ever been in my entire life. I thought that was enough to kill him, but yeah, I'm nothing but excited about the future, and my outlook on everything in my life at the moment is just positive. And so that's kind of where I'm at right now. There wasn't really, aside from maybe things get better with time, which, like I said, may not apply to everybody's situation. There wasn't really a message there. That's just, I sort of wanted to give you guys the rundown on my experience. And so, like I said, I'm sorry if I sort of botched the definition of mental health or disorder or whatever. That's just sort of, that's just what sort of came to mind when I was asked that in the comments of my last one. So, yeah, I hope you guys can sort of, I don't know, I hope that provided some sort of meaning for you guys, me being able to tell my story and the things that I've experienced and felt, and I mean that there's no, I'm sort of struggling to find, like, even now, just like telling this to you guys, it's like it's sort of hard to look in that story and find like any source of meaning. You're fucking trash. There's any source of like meaning or lesson in there for you guys, because that's generally how I want to sort of go into stories like this, is like with at the end with like a message or a lesson or something like that. But I don't know really what to tell you, because obviously I can't tell you guys to go like, oh, don't go to college, just go play video games and make YouTube videos and stuff. Like, that's like, I've been blessed and gotten really lucky with the opportunity that I have, and that's sort of where I'm at. But yeah, I guess, I don't know, things get better. Not everything in life is bad, and that's just sort of my experience that I had with my mental health. I don't know, like I said, I'm sorry if I butchered any of that or whatever, but that's just sort of my experience, and that's how I went from being in probably one of the roughest places in my life to being in probably one of the best in terms of my day-to-day mental health. And so I hope you guys enjoyed that video. I hope you guys found some sort of meaning or enjoyment or, you know, whatever in my story. Sorry if I worded it terribly or was sort of jumping around, but yeah, I'm working on getting better as a storyteller. Something, I don't know. Yeah, that's gonna do it. I think we were able to win both of our games. That was a pretty solid game right there. We ended up coming back from a little bit of a deficit, if I recall correctly. But yeah, so thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like, appreciate it. Subscribe if you're new. Make sure to leave suggestions for what you guys want me to talk about in the comments for the next Zero to Hero video. But yeah, that's going to do it for me today. Like I said, hope you guys enjoyed. Like, appreciate it. Subscribe if you're new. Much respect as always. And I'll see you guys later. Goodbye, everybody.